Hey, what's up guys? This is Henry from Bemani Lounge, and I'm very not so excited to give you a Banlist reaction. Unfortunately, we did not get that many changes on the new Forbidden Unlimited list. We expected a lot of changes with Hakufibrax being a very unnecessary card in the meta right now. We have a lot of other toxic cards such as Mystic Mine, and Konami decided to address none of it. For starters, we have multi-faker to 3. Alter Guys multi-faker to 3. I hate this card. It's like my least favorite card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Just because the deck is so degenerate and it gets so much advantage off of one card, and you have to throw your entire hand into like one of their back row, and then they just get so much advantage. It snowballs. Now the reason why Konami let this happen was because they just have a new LWIAY deck out right now that just pretty much is the same thing but better. So they felt that Altergeist was not necessary to be limited in any such way, so they put multi-faker to 3. The next change we have is Necros of Unicorn going to 3. This is a little surprising because this was the last Necros card to be on the ban list, and now it's at 3. So Necros, the most powerful deck from 2015-2016, is now at full power, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. So I would just like to pretty much say that we have a clash of the meta right now. Like, we do have Necros at full power. Now, the format is much stronger than it was the last time Necros was at full power. Necros really only had to compete with Shadal's and Burning Abyss with Cleese. So it's a little bit of a similar format. You have Rocks as like one of the best decks, and you have LWIAY as sort of that anti-meta deck, or it's meta, but it's more of a control deck. And then you have the combo versions of it. And Necros of Unicorn, not only does it bring back the Necros cards back to your hand from the graveyard, it's their only form of recursion, but it's also their floodgate. And Unicorn was like one of the reasons why extra deck cards weren't that popular in 2015, 2016, or at least they were elite. They were a lot weaker than they were back then. So we have Unicorn at 3, which is actually going to be a little interesting. I think that card will probably see the most play out of the 3 that came back to 3. Of course, you have Alter Guys multi-faker at 3, but a lot of those Alter Guys players are still going to be playing LWIAY because LWIAY is pretty much the better trap deck. However, Necros of Unicorn is sort of a weird one just because of the fact that Necros as a whole is so strong, and there's not really a deck that does the same thing as Necros. So Necros are so consistent, they have good power, they have good consistency, and now they have good recursion, and they have their floodgate monster back at 3. So I would look as Necros as a wild card in the current meta, and look to that deck to going back into full effect here in the current format. And then to round out the 3 cards that we saw come off the ban list, we have the Ritual Beast Canahawk. Now, Canahawk was a card that allowed you to extend a little bit more in the Ritual Beast deck. You got to summon a bunch of your tamers and your animals. I don't know what you really referred to them as, but they were a pretty good deck. They were actually a good counter to Necros back when Necros were full power last in 2015, 2016. And the deck was pretty good. Like, having 3 steeds and 3 of the Reborn trap is pretty good. And the deck has good potential, but now they have to deal with a card called Nibiru. And let's see how they can address that problem in the current format. Now, just to talk about the ban list at large, there's a lot of other cards that I'm surprised that Konami didn't bring back. Like, if you're going to take this approach of bringing back cards, why wouldn't you bring back other cards like Salamangreat Gazelle? Now, Gazelle is very good, and Salad's a really good deck even with just 1 Gazelle, but like, if you're looking at Hakufibrax decks being the best combo decks, then why wouldn't you just bring back Salamangreat, so this way you could have another counter to it? So there's a lot of other cards that could have came back, in my opinion, like Servant of Endymion. I'm surprised that card's at 1 if they're gonna have 3 multi-faker. Just multi-faker is just a very interesting pick for me, because I feel like if you're gonna bring back a deck that was recently hit, why wouldn't you bring back a card like Colossus, where at least its pressure in the format allows you to play less search cards, or a lot more search cards would be dead, to eliminate the consistency of the tuning play? Why wouldn't you bring back certain other cards that weren't really that impactful on the format. I feel like there was just a laziness on Konami with the recent list. I feel like they did a good job from a business standpoint, of not completely murdering the whole Hakufibrax shenanigans. I understand from a player base that's what we want. We want newness, we want life. This whole Hakufibrax toxicity was expected, it was anticipated by us. And now that it's here, we're kind of bored of it already. But for the newer player, it's something new to them, and they haven't witnessed a real tournament yet if they're not involved in online tournaments, which a huge percentage of the player base is not participating in these tournaments. They want those players to feel like they can play their Hakufibrax cards or any of the new cards that came out of the recent sets, and they want to be able for them to witness the current meta. And right now, it's tough coming from someone who does play regularly, but from a business standpoint, it's actually a good thing that Konami didn't ban those cards, because people are just buying product to participate in the virtual duels and the upcoming Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments whenever we're going to have IRL tournaments again. They want those people to feel included in the format. So they were never going to hit Hakufibrax, they were never going to hit Jet Synchron or any of these cards that we wanted them to hit. That would make sense. The one card that I would have loved for them to ban was Buster Whelp, the Dragon Buster Whelp. I think that this card is completely toxic for the game. Having Union Carry just attached to a Boral Savage Dragon and not having your opponent be able to summon from the extra deck is really unnecessary. Like, why would you have that in the game? Buster Dragon's a very old card, and I understand it's a very key card for the Buster Blader strategy, but the truth of the matter is no one plays Buster Blader, and they're probably not going to ban Union Carry anytime soon, so this card has to go. So with that being said, there's a lot of other cards that are older that they could have addressed. For example, like Alistair has been a very good prominent card for a long time, along with Meltdown and Friends, and I feel like they could have addressed the invoke strategy in some way. Now I understand the invoke strategy is not the problem in the format, but it would have been good just to see something different, or at least eliminate the consistency of invoked Eldlik or invoked Shaddoll's. I understand those aren't necessarily the best decks, but they're very good decks, and just to see some change, I would like to see those cards be hit, maybe Meltdown to 1. But probably the most strange non-hit is Mystic Mind. This card has been in the format for way too long. It's at 3, and they haven't addressed any of the ways to get to it other than hitting Metaverse to 1. I understand Terraforming is also at 1, but why not just hit the problem card? Like, Metaverse could come back to 3 if they just ban Mystic Mind. Just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and be sure to subscribe to Bemani Lounge for more Yu-Gi-Oh content. See you guys later. This is Henry signing off.